So there was a story not that long ago about a mechanic that was apparently sabotaging an airplane. I saw the story. I didn't think too much of it because, I don't know, it's kind of a weird story. But there were a lot of conservatives that, in my opinion, jumped the gun and said, this guy's going to be a terrorist. It's going to be proven. And we see this kind of often, right? Whenever there's a big story, you'll see the left, like a big tragedy, the left will say something like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 until it's a white male. And you'll see the right, saying like, how much you want to bet they yelled a certain phrase. And I always sit back and wait. I don't tackle these stories because you need to let the dust settle. Otherwise, you end up looking like a fool. You get a lot of people on the left saying, I bet it was a white male. Oh, turns out it wasn't. You get people on the right saying, I bet it's someone who's Muslim. Turns out it wasn't. However, every so often, somebody hits the nail on the head with the hammer. In this instance, the mechanic is accused of being tied to ISIS and of visiting Iraq and sending money. So now they actually think this guy may have actually been radicalized and may have actually been, jihadist terror. So let's read this story. And I have another scary airplane story that's not really related, but we will read this. And please don't be scared of airplanes after this. But, what am I going to do? Before we get started, head over to timcast.com/donate if you would like to support my work. There's a PayPal option, a crypto option, a physical address. But of course, share this video. Boy, I'll tell you what. The likelihood that YouTube allows this video to get off the ground is slim to none. Why? We're going to be talking about jihadi terror. Yeah, you betcha. And of course, it is against the rules of YouTube to talk about certain groups in certain ways. So I don't know what'll happen with this video, but I kid you not, they added new rules, and apparently pointing this out might get me in trouble. So I'll only say this. It's a Fox News story. Spare me, YouTube. Let me talk about Fox News, please. If you like the video, please consider sharing it wherever you can to help overcome that deranking. And I do have another story about airplanes, but let's start with this one. There's an American Airlines mechanic accused of sabotaging plane denied bail over possible terrorist ties. A federal judge on Wednesday denied bail to a former American Airlines mechanic accused of sabotaging a jetliner in July over possible links to the Islamic State. U.S. Magistrate Judge Chris McAlily ordered Abdul Majid Maruf Ahmed Alani held during a Miami court hearing. He is charged with willfully damaging, destroying, or disabling an aircraft. Now, I will stress, when it comes to the people who came out and said they were betting this guy was going to have ties to certain, terrorist groups, his name is what leads people, many people, not everybody, but his name probably led a lot of people to believe that. I have a problem with that, okay? Because you can't take someone's name from a certain culture and associate them with extremists. I really, really do not like how you have some people saying, oh, I bet it's a terrorist or something. You have the same thing the left does with white men. They're like, white men are the greatest threat, blah, blah, blah. I don't care, dude. I don't like that you're segmenting people based on race when the reality is they're just nuts, okay? They're extremist, crazy, violent people with bad ideas who want to hurt people. That's all I care about. I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care what your name is. I don't care if your name is a number and you got weird parents who call you Apple or something. Just don't be a crazy person who wants to hurt everybody else. Respect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We're all good. So, people jumping the gun, hey, let's chill out. But I get it. A lot of people complain about profiling. Profiling is just human pattern recognition, and sometimes you can determine some things about an individual based on their culture or their race. Sometimes. The problem is when we reduce an individual to a group characteristic, and that is unacceptable. In this instance, you can think whatever you want, but this person should be given the same due process as everyone else. And to clarify what I mean about what you can tell about people based on race, I went to Thailand. I was taller than everybody. Like literally, I could see over everyone's head. It was Chinese New Year, and I'm standing there, and everybody was like, 6, 7 inches shorter than me. Yeah, these things exist. It's reality. In this instance, however, the most important thing is, while we can recognize certain patterns based on culture, race, or whatever, individuals are the most important, minority. Protecting the individual rights, guaranteeing due process, period. In this instance, they believe they found ties to ISIS. Therefore, he is not having bail granted. Totally acceptable. Let's read. Prosecutors presented evidence that Alani, a naturalized American citizen from Iraq, has a brother with possible ties to ISIS and a history of statements wishing harm to non-Muslims. And there you go. You can't go around wishing harm to people and then sabotage a plane. You'll get caught. Well, at least in this instance, thank God he did. They said he recently sent $700 to someone in Iraq and has videos on his cell phone depicting murders committed by ISIS militants. He also failed to disclose to arresting authorities that he traveled to Iraq in March. Now, traveling to Iraq, that's the more worrying thing. But I must stress, in and of itself, going to Iraq and sending someone money is nothing. Combine that with his statements, combine that with the videos on his phone. Now you've got something popping up. But I will also stress that one key point is the fact that he wishes harm to non-Muslims. Because if he didn't, you could argue that the videos on his phone was because he opposed it. He was scared. He was sending his brother money. But in the end, he's saying these things, that's what you get. You may be very sympathetic to terrorists, McAlely told Alani at the hearing. That's very disconcerting. The judge said that Alani's ability to travel abroad factored into her decision, and that it is likely you will be convicted. Alani, 60, worked as a mechanic for the airline when he allegedly sabotaged a NASA-bound Boeing 737 with 150 passengers and crew aboard at Miami International Airport over stalled labor negotiations. Oh, that's weird. He allegedly told investigators the labor dispute between the mechanics union and the airline had a negative financial impact on him. Prosecutors said Alani glued styrofoam inside the nose of the aircraft that disabled a part used to gauge airspeed and other critical flight data. Pilots detected the issue before takeoff, and the plane was taken to another part of the airport for an inspection. That's when the problem was discovered. Well, okay, so things are a little weird, perhaps. Well, you know what? No, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I'm going to say this. I don't care about labor negotiations. I don't care what he's claiming. If the dude is sending money and traveling to these places, his family has ties, and he's made these statements, then anything about labor negotiations is a lie as far as I'm concerned. This dude, at least in my opinion, was trying to hurt people. That's it. He was trying to hurt people. Prosecutors said styrofoam. Airport surveillance captured Alani working on the plane's nose. He was identified by coworkers. Alani's public defender argued his client is an experienced mechanic who knew the alleged sabotage would result in the plane being grounded. We don't think they're going to be able to prove he intentionally put people in danger, said attorney Christian Dunham. The plane would have been fine to fly. With its sensors disabled? Nah, I don't. Alani was fired after the incident, and the Federal Aviation Administration revoked his aircraft mechanic certificate. He is expected to enter a plea Friday. Well, I'll tell you what. Far be it from me to ever trust the government. I'm probably going to do a video. Maybe my next one will be talking about why I don't trust the government, but I'm not surprised people don't trust the government. Well, the point I'm making is, if the prosecutors say these are the circumstances, okay, innocent until proven guilty. They wouldn't be saying they had it if it wasn't true. Evidence and conviction are two different things. If they come out and they're publicly stating he's done these things, then I think it's fair to say to a certain degree that's true. The question is, to what extent has he wished harm to people? What are his brother's supposed ties? And look at this. The headline says possible terrorist ties, but they're actually saying his brother has possible ties. I don't want to play this game, okay? Innocent until proven guilty. I don't gotta like the guy. He did sabotage the plane. I think I think his public defenders even admitted that. But come on, I want to see innocent until proven. I want to see evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. But I also want to highlight one other story. So I'm gonna end this one and jump over here. In-flight chaos as Delta flight plunges almost 30,000 feet. Now, I know these stories are completely unrelated. Well, actually, they're like 99.9% unrelated. The reason I highlight it is just that when you hear stories about this from Fox News, people are going to get really freaked out, and I think we need to see all of the evidence laid out in front of us before we make a determination as to any potential threats, why he may have done it. He says a labor dispute. I honestly don't believe it, okay? If he's made statements, I really don't believe it's a labor dispute. But you combine it with stories like this. This story's from today. The plane fell from 39,000 feet to 10,000 feet. I can imagine all of these people in this plane are going to have like a trauma or a panic attack, and that's going to translate into what we see with this story. When people are scared, they act irrationally. This story, whether or not anybody involved had anything to do with we don't know where the plane fell. It's just that you see these stories in the news, and people are going to draw their own conclusions, and they're not going to care what's true or not. I'm not saying people should or shouldn't. I'm just saying it to make the point that, the more stories we have like this, the more people overreact. And, I shouldn't even say overreact, just that people are going to be scared of flying more than they already are. They ban liquids. This is what causes escalation. I want to make sure that when I show these stories, the point I'm leaving you with is chill. Just chill. Just chill. We don't want to go too far with it. We want to make sure that we understand anomalies happen. We might not be able to secure everything all the time. This stuff's going to happen no matter what you do, and you can't stop it. There's going to be bad people doing bad things. Sometimes planes malfunction. Don't assume the worst, okay? For the time being, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say, don't freak out from any of these stories. Go on your flight, live your life, don't live in fear, and don't take this. I guess my biggest concern is that people take stories like these, they take that fear, and they translate it into voting for strong men and authoritarianism and things like that. And that's the last thing we need. So I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around, and I will see you all shortly.